This video is going to take the whole example problem from getting the video and download it to your hard drive to putting it in Logger Pro and finding out what the speed of the ball is going to be. Alright, so I've actually logged into one of my Google accounts and I don't have the video here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a tab and I'm going to paste the link that's given in the instructions instead of just clicking on the instructions. So that'll put it here. So here I am on the page, and I can look at it as a list, or I can look at it as whichever view I want to. I'm just clicking on the right hand side. But since I'm already logged in, it's already identified me in the top right hand corner, and I'm just going to click on Add to Drive. So I'll click on Add to Drive, and now it's been added to my drive. That's great. So I'll go over to my drive, which is the other tab, and it popped up, Example to Try, with those letters at the end of it. So great, that's the video I want. I'll open up the folder, and there's the video that I see that I want. So what I'm going to do here, let's see, how do I want to download this? So I'll highlight it, and then I'll look under More Actions and go to Download. Now your view may look a little bit different. You may have little squares on the side. Click on that, and a menu pops up that says More and Download it. It just depends upon which view of the Google Drive you're looking at. So this is the newest version of Google Drive that I'm looking at. So I'm going to go to Download. I'll click on Download, and nice, it scans for viruses, and then it puts it onto my hard drive. So it's there, and it's ready to go, and I'm all set. Mine actually automatically popped up my QuickTime Player, but I'm not going to need that. I'm going to let Logger Pro do all the work for me here. So let's go to Logger Pro. Now I'm in Logger Pro. Got a new file opened up. I'm going to go to the Insert menu and choose Movie. So I'm inserting a movie. And then I'm going to go to that movie file that I just downloaded. And I've got a few keyboard shortcuts to take me there. There we are. So here's the video. I'll click on Open. So I'm almost set. I'm going to make my video as big as I can. The bigger it is, the better my data is going to be. So I'll enlarge it a little bit, as long as you don't make it too big and it gets too blurry. But there's the video. So now I'm ready to start doing the data. It says the ball is 3 centimeters in diameter, so I'll use that as my scale, and it says the video is shot at 60 frames per second, or FPS. So I've slid my cursor around a little bit here. I'll click on these buttons on the bottom with the 2 arrows pointing to the right. Alright, I'm all set. I'm going to click on the video editing analysis tools. So I'll click on that button in the far bottom right hand corner. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scale something in the diagram. I can scale anything I know the length of. I'm going to set the scale, and I'm going to do the ball because it says the diameter is 3 centimeters. So I'll start on one side and go over and try to be as precise as I can to go to the other side of the ball. Then it pops up and it says distance is 1 meter. Well, it's not 1 meter. It's 0.03 meters, or 3 centimeters. That's great. That'll give me my speed when I'm done in meters per second. Now I need to select an origin, so I'll click on the Set Origin button. And I'm going to put my origin, I can really put it pretty much anywhere I want to, but I'm going to put it at the front of the ball. So when the ball moves, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep clicking on the front of the ball as it moves. Oops, I'm sliding my mouse around a little bit here. I don't mean to. So let's go back a couple frames, go back. I'm all set. Now I'll start collecting data points from the video. I'll click on the button that says Add Point. And then I'll click on the front of the ball. And as I keep clicking on the front of the ball, the video keeps advancing to the next frame, so it does it automatically for me. And I'll just try to be very precise. Now usually I'd be a little bit slower and a little more precise, but for this example video, just to get it done in time, I'm going to be a little bit more, I'm going to be a little bit quicker. Again, more precise than what I'm doing. I'm just trying to be fast. And I'm going for a lot of data points. Hopefully that'll smooth out any errors that I find. If you can see behind the screen that I'm clicking in the window, I can see a red dot and a blue dot's forming, and that's the data as it's being collected. So it's plotting the X and Y values. Okay, I'll stop there. Great, now what I want to do is I want to reorganize my screen a little bit. So I'm going to go to the Page menu at the top and go down to where it says Auto Arrange, which is Command R on the Mac or Control R on the Windows machine. Now it'll arrange everything, so that's nice. I've got all 3 windows arranged automatically for me, so they all fit on the same screen. And next step, let's start looking at the data. So I'm going to click on the graph, and just came to the front of the 3 windows. and it says X and Y. That's the dots. The Y values are the up and down clicks that I did, and I don't care about that information. So I'm just going to look at the X value to tell the computer that. I'm going to click on the X, the red X, and choose X. And that's just the X values going across the screen. Now the goal was to find the speed of this. So I'm going to, let's see, there's the X. We'll go with down here on the data table where it says X. I'm going to double click that. Instead of calling it X, I'm going to call it distance. And it already said time at the bottom of the graph, so that's good. Distance versus time, that's what I'm looking for. Now let's find the data. I'll select all the data I'm interested in. So I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to drag it across the screen so I highlight everything because I'm interested in all that data. Now I'm looking at my buttons at the top. I'm going to click the one that says linear fit because it looks like a linear fit. Now it's giving me some information. It's kind of hard to read, especially when I put it inside of a document. So I'll double click on it, click on appearance, then go down to where it says the size of the font. I'll make it large, 24 point. Click on OK, click on OK. Now it's super huge. But that's great. That's easy to read. So I can see what the slope is. And remember, the slope in a position versus time graph is the speed. And it even gives me the units of meters per second. So the slope's about 0.1 meters per second. Something's off. It's a little bit slow. I know what it is. I forgot to tell the computer that the speed of the video was 60 frames per second. So I'm going to go back and click on the video itself. Actually, what I'm going to do is, if you look at the video tools, they're still showing over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to click on the arrow to highlight that window so I don't add an extra data point that I don't want. Now I'm all set. I'll go to the options and go to movie options, where I can double click on the movie itself. Down here where it says override frame rate, it thinks it's 24 frames per second, and that's the timing rate, 24 frames per second. So I want to change it to 60 frames per second because that's what the video told me. And I'll click OK. And so now you can see my numbers, they all changed. The slope is no longer 0.1. The slope is now, or 0.09 as it was, the slope is now about 0.24 meters per second. So that sounds about right. And it's giving me a y-intercept of somewhere around 0. My correlation is 1.00. Looks pretty good. And my root mean square error is really, really small for the size of these numbers. So that's a good fit. And now I have my equation and I know what the speed is. The speed is the slope on this graph of position versus time of about a quarter, or 0.25 meters per second. Next step is to put it in a document. What I would use is the snipping tool. On the Mac, I would actually use Command-Shift-4 and just take highlight the whole window. But on the Windows machine, I would actually press the Windows button and look for the word snipping. And that'll pull up the snipping tool. Then I use those tools to take a picture of the screen and then put it into my Google Doc.